Autoimmune diseases are on the rise in the United States and in the developed world. Between 2001 and 2011, the number of people in the United States with asthma increased by 28%. Autoimmune diseases include Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, asthma, allergies, skin conditions like psoriasis and eczema, and very serious conditions like multiple sclerosis. And they're affecting more and more people in the Western world every day. So why is it that we're seeing such an epidemic rise in these types of autoimmune diseases in the wealthiest, affluent and developed countries of the world? And we're not seeing it in the underdeveloped world. So autoimmune diseases are known to have two components. There is the genetic component, and there is an environmental trigger. So our genes, there isn't a whole lot we can do about that, but the rate of increase of these diseases, epidemic proportions really, is outweighing genetic mutations, and that's not the answer. The other piece is the environmental triggers. So what has changed about our environment that we have more of these things? Okay, well, in the case of asthma, you might want to say air pollution. But according to the Environmental Protection Agency, air quality in the United States has actually improved over the last 47 years. So while we have more greenhouse gases, and that's a different problem, as far as particulate matter in the air that would affect asthma, that's not it. And what about digestive autoimmune disorders like Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis? What has changed about that part of our physiology? There's an environmental trigger there too. What has changed is how we eat and what we eat. What we eat, after all, is part of our environment. Another thing that has changed profoundly over the past couple of decades is the number of prescriptions for antibiotics that are being written. 70% of the mechanics of your immune system reside in the gut. I want to give a description of how the immune system and the gut microbiome interplay with each other. This is a little overly simplistic, but bear with me because I think it helps shed some light on things. So let's think of your digestive system, your gut, like a dance club. Imagine a little disco ball hanging in your large intestine. And the bacteria that come down with your food that you picked up on the birth canal during birth, and that you got from your mother's breast milk, hopefully, all of those bacteria come to the dance club to party and to dance. And so you can think of them as the patrons of the dance club. They're not part of the dance club organization, they're not part of your body, they're not employees there, they're just patrons. And conversely, there's the bouncers over in the corner keeping an eye on things, and they are professionals at noticing the subtle nuances between people that are just there to dance, patrons, and patrons that are about to start trouble. But it's the interplay between the bouncers and the dancers, the bacteria and your immune system. The bouncers are the immune system. That they become educated. The dancers keep the bouncers alert and on their best game. So what happens when there aren't a lot of dancers showing up? Well, then the bouncers get bored and they don't really know what to do. They don't have the opportunity to educate themselves on those little subtle differences between someone who's just there to party and dance and someone who's there to start throwing furniture and wreck the place. And they begin to maybe mistake employees of the club for patrons, and patrons that are going to cause trouble, and they attack them. Really a simplistic view of it, but essentially That's what it is. You've got a microbiome full of bacteria that are residents, not part of our bodies, not part of the dance club. You've got a bouncer immune system that's on the alert but needs to be educated on those subtle differences. And it's that interplay between the microbiome and our immune system that keeps us healthy. When a real pathogen, bad guy, comes into the club, the immune system is ready to pounce and hammers them. And this is the front line of our immunity defense, is right there in the gut. So the theory goes something like this. In the Western world, we're eating less raw foods. We are introducing less bacteria. We're eating out at restaurants that are sterile and sanitized. We're eating at the grocery store where things are cooked and pasteurized and chemically preserved. We are then depleting our microbiome. Our microbiome is less diverse, less robust, less healthy, and our immune system is weak. We get sick because our immune system is weak, and we get prescribed antibiotics, which is a decimation of our microbiome, and it gets to be a vicious cycle. In the Western world, we really are deplete of a diverse, healthy microbiome in general, and it's these daily habits that are a part of it. And this is how the microbiome is a key part of our immunity. That interplay between the gut microbiome bacteria and the body's immune system has had 200,000 years to evolve into what it is. And recently, we're seeing this spike in autoimmune diseases, and that is the big environmental change that has happened in the last 25, 30 years, is just a change in the way people eat in the West and the number of antibiotics. I believe that this theory is so scientifically reasonable that we've gone ahead and made changes in our own lives to eat more raw foods, to cook more of our own foods, to take probiotics and introduce transitory bacteria into our guts all the time. When our daughter Tula was born, she was born cesarean section, so she didn't benefit from that initial inoculation of bacteria, and then immediately received a broad-spectrum antibiotic upon birth, and was, in the first 18 months of her life, sick with multiple ear infections and prescribed more antibiotics. And we weren't educated about a healthy diet for the microbiome, and we're giving her foods that are just feeding yeasts in her gut. And the snake was eating its own tail, this vicious cycle. So we've since turned that boat around because we understand how the microbiome is so important to the body's immunity. One last bit of evidence. In the Western world, we're seeing epidemic rise in autoimmune disease. We're also seeing that we have a third less diversity and the number of species present in our gut microbiomes compared to the underdeveloped world. They have a lot more, they may have 1,600 different species in their guts. We'll have like 1,000 to 1,200, something like that. So there's your environmental change, folks. If you want to stay informed about the latest in gut health, please like this video and subscribe. If you have a question or a comment, please leave it below. I always try to respond. And if you feel this information could be helpful to others, please share it. Thanks for watching.